Back on Steel and Vans, counting down to the summer travel season. So many people booking trips. Half the people I know are in Italy right now.
Oh, how nice for them. If you're going to go somewhere and it's a short trip, well, some people can jam the most astonishing amount of stuff into a small carry-on. I'm not good at that.
But you're fashionable.
Warning, Air Canada in particular is said to be kind of actually enforcing the rules. So this is a story from Daily Hive. And I think it jumped off a tweet that they saw from this fellow here, who is basically saying that they're cracking down on the carry-ons, they're weighing, measuring, checking bags in Toronto. People are having meltdowns because they can't bring their giant duffel bags and full suitcases on board. Todd says, I side with Air Canada on this one, and so do I.
I do too. I'm glad they're cracking down on the people that are just ignoring the guidelines. I have a carry-on piece of luggage that I measured so it does fit in that little, you know how they do? Put it in the little handler thing and make sure, my bag isn't, right, that one. So then I make sure that if I'm carrying my purse or my backpack, if I'm traveling with my kid, I make sure that it's a reasonable bag that will fit under the seat in front of me. But I see people that are coming in with a full set of Louis Vuitton luggage, like, I'm just gonna pull this on here, guys.
Body in a duffel bag or something, trying to stuff it under the seat. We want to bring in
Who are you
a regular guest. Well, because people are jamming so much stuff and they're being disrespectful, and I think they're being cheap as well. I get baggage fees are part of the equation here.
I don't like those.
But DUNCAN DEE used to be the COO for Air Canada, and he is joining us now to give us kind of an insider's perspective on carry-on and the carry-on hogs who don't care what the rules are.
I want to know what happens behind the scenes at Air Canada
DUNCAN,
in the meetings.
This has got to have been a problem for years.
It has been a problem for years, and people always react to this during these so-called crackdowns, but really these infant measures unfortunately have to take place when the flights are fullest, which is during the summer peak and the Christmas peak in Canada. So what we're seeing now happens every time we enter a peak, and airline employees don't like it either. So let me be very clear. The person that is asking you to measure your bag hates having to do that.
Right,
but they have to, in order to ensure as smooth a boarding process as possible. And, I think it's one of these things that we always have to expect during the busiest travel parts of the year.
I think that's such a good point to forgive the people who are enforcing the rules that need to happen in order for things to move forward safely. So with that caveat on this, when it comes to what Linda mentioned with the airlines charging even more on top of everything and taxes and gas and the thing and the stuff and the cheap first blush of like, oh, I can afford to go. And then by the time you've booked your seat and paid for it and then booked your bag and paid for it, you really shouldn't be going. And people are trying to squeeze more into the cabin. How much of that can be justified, I guess, purchasing the space?
Right. No, the two biggest causes of this challenge with carry-on bag, in fact, caused by the airlines themselves. The number one cause is, as you mentioned, the fees that are charged for checked baggage. And the second thing is the performance of the airline in delivering those checked bags. Right. So when they don't deliver those checked bags in the carousel on time, that it takes either forever or it doesn't come at all, those two factors drive the consumer behavior to want to bring everything they possibly can on their carry-on bags. And, we've got experiences throughout Canada, but also in the United States, where airlines have taken very, very different approaches to this issue of carry-on bags. You've got Southwest Airlines, where everybody gets 2 bags checked in for free, like the good old days, but Southwest still does it. Or you've got Delta Airlines, which has completely changed the size of the overhead bins in their aircraft. They've got these super bins where you can really bring on larger and larger carry-on pieces, the maximum possible, because their bins are measured so that every single traveler is allowed 1 checked bag every time.
So if people actually just played by the rules and brought the appropriate amount of carry-on luggage and didn't try to jam some oversized thing in the overhead and down underneath, would we not get boarding faster? Is this not holding everything up?
Absolutely. And the number one reason for delays with boarding is, in fact, the issue with carry-on bags. when travelers have the carry-on bag requirements down pat, meaning they've got one personal item, which is a purse or a computer bag, and one carry-on bag, which is a bag that fits that sizer, then it should be a relatively smooth boarding process, not just for that traveler, but for everybody. Because how many times have we gone onto the aircraft and the person in front of us is trying to stuff an obviously oversized piece of carry-on in a bin, and it's just not going to work. There's nothing they can do to make it work, but they're still insisting on doing it, and that backs everybody up. And so, what airlines, and particularly Air Canada during the peak, is trying to do is prevent that from happening so that everybody can get on their way, because some people may have connections, some people may have cruises that they have to catch, and if they delay the flights, then those connections are missed or cruises are missed. And so, these are things that unfortunately have to happen. Like, Linda, how many times do you see travelers coming on the aircraft with, a dozen or half a dozen shopping bags? It's not even just the carry-on bags, but all of those shopping bags from a shopping trip. And those things just, take time to put away. So that's the reason for the so-called crackdown.
And then when they bring on their emotional support turkey, there's just not room for anything, Duncan.
The turkey.
No, and unfortunately, when we're looking at the fact that we're about to enter the next 80 travel days are the peak travel days of the year in Canada. All the flights that you're going to be on are going to be full from 90% upwards. So 90% of the seats upwards are going to be full for most of these flights going forward until Labor Day. And so there just isn't that much room on the aircraft when everybody wants to bring on a carry-on bag, a personal item, and maybe 3 or 4 shopping bags that they think isn't really that much. But if everybody does it, then it is too much. So,
it really is a team sport. It really is a team sport, travel. And people need to wrap their head around the fact that it is like zipper merging. For you to try and get ahead of somebody in it and stuff the bin, it's going to delay everyone. Duncan Dee, our insider on all things air travel. We really appreciate you. You're like the most oft guest here on Steele and Vance in season 1. Thanks for being available.
Thanks, Duncan.
Anytime.
And see, if you want to bring a lot of stuff, you leave your husband at home, and then you can just have an extra
That
seat.
is a Norm shot if I've ever heard it.
And you can just put all your bags in the seat next to you.
Can my support turkey go in the seat next to me?
Right? Someone actually got one of these on the plane.
That's crazy. Let's get healthy, Linda.
Coming up next, a doubleheader health segment.
I'm in.
Doubleheader, millions of Canadians have cataracts. Most of us don't really know about the surgical options. And if you're having trouble getting your Z's, a sleep coach joins us with some tips next.
I'm looking forward to that. Also, thank you for your viewing party photos, Joan. Thank you for
I love
tuning
this
in.
fireplace.
Isn't this beautiful?
Oh, I want to go visit
Thank you
Joan.
for this, Joan. You're sending in your photos.
This
Who else
is
do we have
Kathy.
here? Hi, Kathy. And we also have Maureen and Dave in Langford. Thank you to all of you for sitting down with us and hanging out with us every Thursday and Sunday on Steele and Vance. Here's how you get in touch with us. Take a photo of you with your chips and your beverage or whatever, and just take a picture of you viewing us and send it in. We love sharing these. We'll be back in a moment.